the introduction, and I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for giving me this time to be able to talk about horses, about our critters, dogs. We've got goats, we've got cats, we've got a little bit of everything on this. I've been involved with LifeVantage for 6 years, and the reason I got involved was because of the amount of science that we have. As an equine PT, I was routinely approached to sell products because I was in front of a very big clientele, and they were all trying to push their product. I'd look at everything, but there just was never any science about it. And so I really never picked a product up until now. And I've been involved in that business for like 40 years. So this was very exciting for me. When I looked at ProTandem NRF2, it was a very different product because it had the science behind it. And what happened was a complete stranger, he just happened to be visiting family up at a racetrack where I was, and he saw the door signs on my cart, Therapeutic Equine Services. He came over with his wife, Jackie, and Justin Brown, and they showed me a bottle of ProTandem. And the next thing they did was showed me the ABC Primetime. And I really couldn't believe that. I thought I was pretty much at the top of the game, and I knew what was going on, but I'd never heard about this. So I didn't believe it. I was on the computer for hours that night, 12 hours actually. Because if this was true, I wanted it for myself. I wanted it for my horses, for my dogs, and also all the people that I was involved with, because horsemen just don't really get time to repair. We don't get time off. It's pretty much a 7-day-a-week deal. And I was always working on people that had problems just like the horses did. So if this was real, I definitely wanted to be involved, and I knew a lot of people and horses that needed it. And what they didn't know was that morning I'd made a very big decision that I was really tired of what I was doing. At that time, I'd been a therapist for about 35 years. It is a hard job. It's 7 days a week, pushing 1,200-pound animals around. Sometimes they're not real happy to see you. And it was very expensive. I had about $200,000 worth of equipment I used, and I had to travel all the time. And it was fun in the beginning, but I also had a custom saddle shop in Florida, my husband, and it was just a lot. I worked about 100 hours a week, and I was tired of doing that, but I was wondering, what am I going to do? I was like 57 years old. My whole resume said horses, and where was I going to go and create a 6-figure income again? So I was very excited when a stranger showed this to me, and I figured out it was real. And I wanted to change my career. When I got started, I still love the horses. But the business had changed a lot. Of going from all about taking care of the horse and what's the best for the horse to what does it take to win. It was about money. It was about getting your picture taken. And I just wasn't enthralled with it anymore. So I got excited when this was real, and I realized that I was still going to be able to help the horses. And of course, every horse person usually has 2 or 3 dogs. So we got to help the dogs too. And from that, it's gone into goats and sheep and cows, and they're all mammals. So be excited. What we have is going to help so many animals. And don't ever worry about walking up to a stranger, because you don't know where they're at or what they're looking for. The average person that I knew probably would not have approached me, because they already knew I worked about 100 hours a week. I don't know how I was going to add something else to my plate, but I did know that if I didn't change something, I was going to be doing the same thing a few years later. So thank you so much, LifeVantage, and thank you, Justin, for showing this to me. So let's talk about how we show this to people. When I first got involved, there was a lot of testimony going on. And what I found out soon was we really are not to be doing testimonies like that. So I had to find a way to be able to show this to people. And when I figured it out, it really is better than a testimony, because science, you can't disprove that. And I'm very excited that we have the science behind this product. So I just take people to the ABC. I educate them that everybody has oxidative stress. Our animals have it. Animals really have more of it than we do. If you think about it, they've got their nose to the ground if their horses, eating, or if they're dogs. We've got fertilizers, toxins, all of these things that they're exposed to, I think, way more than we are. And then we can show them how we can do something about that oxidative stress. So we teach them, we all have oxidative stress, that's cell damage. We teach them we have a product that's going to reduce that cell damage by 40% in 30 days. And then I just tell them, from here on, I'm just going to talk about oxidative stress, because that's what we're really attacking. Then I can take them to places that have got science behind them. And I used to use PubMed.gov. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. place where science is validated. And Dr. Lee Seward introduced me to scholar.google.com. And there's a lot of studies on PubMed. Actually, if you put in equine oxidative stress, there's over 350 studies, which for me, that was absolutely plenty of studies. But when you go to scholar.google, he explained to me that really that's, it has digital studies on there that aren't printed, and there's more of them. So actually, I was get my notes here. There's way more there. There's around 40,000 studies on horses, 35,000 studies on horses. So if you go to the search bar and you just put in equine oxidative stress, 35,000 studies will show up. You can go to NRF2 equine laminitis, and I am super excited about that because that's 30 studies that have been done on laminitis. For those that don't know about laminitis, very debilitating disease that we often lose our horses for, and there's not a whole lot of Western medicine can do for it, but we are seeing some incredible results, and we can talk about it now through science. For the horse folks out there, we're seeing results in a lot of things, all because we're reducing oxidative stress. So laminitis, Cushing's disease, equine obesity, inflammatory responses, you know, all of these things have studies to back them up. There's some of the studies that I look at is oxidative damage to mitochondria and DNA. There's a lot of relationships between stallion fertility and oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, restricted airway is huge for the thoroughbred horses. So there are a lot of studies there, and we just have to take people to the science. That's all. We just have to connect the dots for people. We don't have to have some big story. For me, science is way better than any story because that's in black and white. And a lot of your people, if you're going to approach, say, veterinarians or medical professionals, that's what they're going to want to see. And we're able to be able to take people to that science because it's there. I mean, most products don't have it. So why don't we use it? So, and the other thing is, you know, when you're there, I would much rather look at a study that's done from LSU or American Heart Association, Harvard University, to believe it's real, then there's nothing wrong with somebody's story. It's real. I know there's tons of real stories out there, but sometimes people don't want to believe all of it, or sometimes we sound like a salesman when we're doing that. So I would much rather take someone to some science. And now that we have it, especially laminitis is something I'm very passionate about. We couldn't talk about it a lot before, but now we can when we have 30 studies. That's very exciting. And so many of the problems that we see with horses, they're related to inflammation, and thousands of studies on just inflammation by itself and oxidative stress. In the beginning, 6 years ago, there weren't a lot of studies that we have today, but now we have them. So let's use them. And so what I want to ask you is how are you doing this with people? A lot of folks come to me and they say, well, how do you show it to a horse person or a dog person? You know, the very same way that you show it to a person. We're just going to take them to science. I have a very simple way that I approach people, whether they're my friend, I've known them a long time, or if it's a cold call, somebody I just met. I am very simple. I keep it super simple. I just ask them, I ask all of them the same question. You know, when they tell me that they've got, their knees hurting them or their back hurts, and they think about all the dog stories that we hear. People have their puppy and it's got too much energy. And, or I wish I had the same amount of energy he does. Or my dog's older and he's got arthritis, or he's inflammation. He's got inflammation in his hips, or they just had a surgery. And we know, here we go, inflammation and scar tissue. Whatever problem they've got with their critter, whether it's a dog or a horse, I just say, you know, I've got some information you need to know about. That's all I say. It doesn't matter what their problem is. My response to it is, I have some information you need to know about. And they're going to ask me, what is it? Everybody does. What you have to understand is you don't have to answer that. What is it? I answer it with a question. I say it's something really important. Do you get information by email or text? And when I do that, I drop my eyes down to my phone. I pull it out, contact, and I'm going to make a note. I'm not going to sit there and stare at them. I'm looking at my phone. I'm waiting for a response. Text. Okay, great. Give me a good contact number. Put it in my phone. Now the next, I get that first, and then I say, now I'm going to send you some information. What's going to be, you think you're going to have a chance to look at that tonight? Yeah. Okay, great. So if I give you a call about 7 or 8, I can answer your questions. Super. Okay, I'm going to give you a call at 7. You make the appointment. We don't have to answer the questions. We will get them answered, but it'll be a later time. So that's when I'm able to send them a link, them to look at it. Then I'm going to get back with them at the appointed time. And then I'm going to get the information they need. You know, if they want to know what it does for their horses with soft tissue injuries, I'm going to be able to take them to scholar.google.com and put in oxidative stress and soft tissue injuries. And we can go from there. And we're also going to use a third party. So even though I know where to go, I also want my new person to hear this from somebody else, because that's what makes this business duplicatable, is we don't have to know all of this stuff that we talked about Google Scholar or Scholar Google. We don't have to know all that. Use your person that brought you in the business and let them help you learn where all of this is. And then it's very simple. And that's why we've got to keep it super simple. There is a lot of information out there, but we don't have to know it all. There are a lot of people to help us. So that's what I do to keep it compliant and also make it more believable that these studies are coming from big universities that have spent millions of dollars trying to figure out if this is real or not. It is real, and we have access to it. So my challenge to you is, how many people do you feel really needs to know this information? Because it's very important. And I'm not kidding when I tell people that. When they say, what is this? And I go, it's really important. And so we need to get together. What time tonight we have a chance to look at that? And that's the way I talk to horse people, dog people. Is the same thing over and over again. A little bit about some dosages. Horses are big critters. I wanted to know what one pill was going to do. One pill does a lot. That's what I started with my old horse. It changed his life truly. And he's an old guy. He's outside walking around the field. And those kind of horses really have a better life than professional horses that are in stalls. So one that does a lot for that, for maintenance on a horse. If it's a professional horse, he's not getting to walk around. He's going to be in a stall more hours in the day. He's doing a professional job, and he's going to have more oxidative stress. So I give those horses 2 a day, and I split it up, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. I want to flip that switch on twice a day rather than once a day. And sometimes we have situations like laminitis. We have some problems that we don't have time to wonder what it's going to take. And so we just give them more. You can't hurt them. We've given them up to 9 a day in a critical situation. And then later on, we can start backing it down. But I'm just excited that we have something that's natural and we can use it on our horses and our dogs. And just for clarification, I use Pro-Tandem, NRF2 on the horses. I use Pet Tandem on the dogs. And the reason is Pet Tandem is weight related because of the chicken collagen and amino acid. Horses don't need that, dogs do. So use your Pet Tandem for the dogs. We're using it for those hair problems, itchy, scratchy places. When they have surgeries, it helps reduce inflammation, scar tissue for the pups and for the horses. So I'm very excited that we have something that is all natural, that's making a huge difference in people and horses and dogs. And the fact that we're the one to bring the message to people. So I'm very excited on how many people we can help, but now it's up to you. Decide how many people you're going to share this information with. Put a number down. You know, your mind works on written material. Put down how many people you're going to show this to this week. Get a piece of paper out and put 1 through 10. Write 10 names down there and contact them this week. And you'll be really surprised if you can use something very simple like, I've got some information you need to know about. Keep it simple. So I want to thank you for having me on the call, Herbert. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great day.